Hey now everyone, Matt Haywood here from the Star Wars Time Show, and it's time to do an unscripted comic book recap. This time, breaking down War of the Bounty Hunters number 4, and I'm glad to say that this miniseries has finally gotten back on track after some rather boring and ridiculous entries from the crossover series, in particular the most recent Vader comic and the most recent Star Wars proper comic. But those days are over. We're back at it. We're back with our buddy Boba, so let's get down to the recap. Alright, so like I said, this issue picks up right around where the most recent Star Wars comic has left this miniseries at. So, you got Darth Vader over here playing Ginsu knives demonstration with Han Solo and Carbonite. So, of course, Leia and the Rebels are like, oh no, we gotta do something. Come on, Luke, save us. And Luke's all like, I can't. I'm scared of my dad. I can't fight him yet, but I guess we could play tag and maybe that will help. And it kind of does. So Luke's like, hey, Dad, well, how you doing, buddy? I'm here, but you got to come and catch me. So, of course, Vader, who we have learned throughout this miniseries, has a new hard-on for his son. Not in that way, you sickos, but, he wants to take him out. He thinks Luke is a threat to his power and his standing with the Emperor. So, that's why he wants to chase Luke. So he does. They finally get to play the game of tag that they never got to play when Luke was young. So while all this is going on, the Hutt Council gets together and they're like, we kind of just got played, but we're going to pretend that we didn't and just say that Jabba decided to gift his auction win, which was Solo and Carbonite, to the Empire. But Boku, who we know from the Vader series, has been tweaked by Vader and Ochi on purpose to kind of cause some division within the Hutt Council. He starts going like, no way. I mean, Jabba, screw him. I know he's kind of our leader, but we can't get punked by Vader and the Empire. We have got to let the galaxy know, especially with Crimson Dawn coming back, that we are the mother effers in charge. So, we as the reader, we kind of have an idea that Boku, thanks to what Vader kind of tweaked him with, is going to do something dumb. And he will, but more on that later. Alright, so we get back to our buddy Boba, who, let's be real, is the main character of the War of the Bounty Hunters. He still is trying to get Han back, and this time he's trying to get it back from the Empire because Vader stole him fair and square because he's Darth freaking Vader. And now the Empire's trying to take him off-world. So he's just kind of camping out. But from the Bounty Hunters comic, we knew that Dengar and Valance were coming, and they finally showed up. And, Toilet Paper Head starts talking some smack at Boba, and Boba is just fantastic. It's kind of the genesis of the title here. I mean, he just looks at Dengar and Valance and goes, I'm not surrendering to you guys. You guys are bozos. You're bums. You're nobodies. Which gets Dengar all worked up and kind of allows Boba Fett to do what he needs to do, which is be a pimp. So, I mean, he kind of easily gets rid of Dengar, sends him away on like a little ice chunk down a river. But again, we knew that Valance was there too, so he shows up, kind of has Boba Fett cornered with his hand gauntlet. He's kind of like the Iron Man of Star Wars bounty hunters. But Fett, he's a smooth talker, and that's what I've liked in these comics, is you learn that Fett wasn't just the short answer type of guy that he was portrayed as in The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. I mean, this dude's got some thoughts. He's got feelings, and they may be not that deep and focused on clout and bounties, but he is not just a robotic character like he was portrayed in the original trilogy. Hey now, before we continue on with the recap, I just want to remind you to check out our sponsor, Manscaped, who is selling the Performance Package 4.0 right now, and you can get 20% off plus free shipping if you use the code SWTS at checkout. That's 20% off plus free shipping if you use the code SWTS at checkout on manscaped.com. Make sure to grab yourself the Performance Package 4.0 today and make your balls look pretty and smell heavenly. So we leave those two for a little bit, Valance and Boba. They're trying to work on their issues. And we return to the Rebels, who are now also chasing after Han, who is in an Imperial shuttle, getting ready to be taken to Vader's flagship. And this is where Luke comes in and starts playing the game of tag that I teased earlier. So this allows Leia, Chewie, Lando, and the droids to kind of focus on getting Han back. So I guess Luke, even though he pussed out and wouldn't face his dad, is at least causing the distraction to allow his friends to try and save Han. So we shift back to our two bounty hunter friends, who are just kind of hanging out, talking about life. Boba even mentions how they're just simple men, right? Because the Fett's like throwing that around. And, Valance still isn't having it because his motivation here is he wants to save Han, not actually steal him, because he owes Han. Him and Han are friends. So he doesn't necessarily want to line up with Boba's ideals, which is getting Han back so he can complete the bounty for Jabba. But in the end, after they have their little bounty hunter talk, they ultimately decide to head off together and go after Solo, the Rebels, and the Imperials. It's getting fun, my friends. This issue also checked in on Kira, who we learned kind of went toe-to-toe with Vader, but ultimately lost. But she kind of starts setting up some other plans that I am sure will play out in the final issue and kind of be the culmination of the War of the Bounty Hunters narrative, which we also know her story is going to be continued in that Crimson Reign miniseries, and it's going to play off of a lot of the narratives introduced in War of the Bounty Hunters. So it was nice that we at least got to check in with her, kind of getting some foreshadowing at her future plans. All right, so like I said, the homeboys, they get in the slave one, they head out there, and they're like, oh man, the Rebels are going to get Han, or the Imperials are going to get Han. What are we going to do? Valance is like, don't blow up the Falcon, you dick. And Boba's like, okay, whatever, I won't. So what does he do? He busts out one of his seismic charges, or as we called on the Star Wars Time show, a seismic charge. Even reading it and seeing it, I know there's no sound, but I'm sure, like myself, all of you that read this comic, or may even be seeing it just in this stupid recap, are hearing that bwang, bwang. It's just such a beautiful sound from Star Wars. So we get the seismic charge, and it takes out the Falcon. Doesn't blow it up, but takes it out. At the same time, the Falcon was able to disable the Imperial shuttle, but as the issue ends, we kind of get to see Boku's payoff here. So just as Boba thinks he's going to go get get Solo back from the downed Imperial shuttle, an entire Hutt fleet shows up, led by Boku, which is surely going to screw with Boba's plans, the Rebels' plans, the Imperials' plans, and even Jabba's plans. So, like I said at the onset of this recap, War of the Bounty Hunters finally back on track in War of the Bounty Hunters number 4. A lot of the crossover issues from the other Star Wars lines have just been letting this miniseries down, but thankfully with a proper issue, we kind of progressed beyond the Crimson Dawn auction. We've got the various factions kind of all over the place right now. We got the Bounty Hunters en route. The Rebels are kind of floating around in space. The Imperials are floating around in space. And of course, the Hutt fleet has shown up. So, good stuff. Highly recommend. And thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. We love you, right? Every Tuesday, we do a live stream of the Star Wars Time Show podcast, where we talk about stuff like this and other important need-to-know Star Wars news that any legit fan would love to consume. All right, so please subscribe, please like, please comment, and share with a friend. Because if you listen to what the Star Wars Time Show tells you, the Force will be with you always.